Chapter 1. The Cookie That Changed Everything. I watched my fiancée Emma laugh as she broke a chocolate chip cookie in half, offering one piece to my younger coworker Derek across the cafe table. It was our 3-year anniversary dinner, but Derek had accidentally shown up at the same restaurant. Emma insisted he join us, calling it fate. I sat there, fork in hand, watching her light up in ways she hadn't with me in months. Her fingers lingered on his as she handed him the cookie. Derek smiled that charming smile he used on everyone at the office, the one that made the secretaries blush and the interns giggle. "This is really good," Derek said, taking a bite. "Thanks, Emma." "Of course. I couldn't eat the whole thing anyway," she replied, her voice bright and airy. I cut into my steak, the knife scraping against the plate a little too hard. Neither of them noticed. "So Nathan," Derek said, leaning back in his chair like he owned the place, "how does it feel? 3 years with this amazing woman." "Lucky," I said flatly. Emma reached over and squeezed my hand. "We're both lucky. I can't believe it's already been 3 years. Time flies when you're happy." When I excused myself to the restroom, I heard their voices drop to whispers. The bathroom was just around the corner, separated by a thin wall. I stood there, frozen, as Emma's voice floated through. "He's so predictable, isn't he?" she said with a soft laugh. Derek's response was muffled, but then I heard him clearly. "Does he suspect anything?" "God, no. Nathan's completely oblivious. He trusts me completely." My chest tightened. I walked into the bathroom and stared at my reflection in the mirror, at the man I barely recognized. Dark circles under my eyes from working overtime to pay for the wedding. The engagement ring on my left hand felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I twisted it off slowly, feeling the metal slide past my knuckle. For a moment, I just held it, staring at the simple gold band that had cost me 8 months of savings. Then I dropped it into the trash bin beneath the crumpled paper towels. It landed with a soft thud that no one else would ever hear. When I returned to the table, Emma smiled at me warmly, her hand finding mine across the table. "You're being so mature about Derek joining us," she said, her thumb stroking my knuckles. "That's what I love about you. You're never jealous or insecure like other guys. You're just confident and secure." I smiled back, the expression feeling foreign on my face. "Thanks, babe," I said. Derek raised his wine glass. "To Nathan, for being the coolest guy I know." I lifted my glass and clinked it against his, looking him directly in the eyes. "To honesty," I said. Chapter 2. The Office Whispers. Before continuing to the next chapter, please subscribe, like the video, and tell me in the comments which moment stayed with you. Monday morning hit me like a freight train. I walked into Hartley & Associates marketing firm with my coffee in one hand and my best poker face firmly in place. My cubicle sat directly across from Derek's, a daily reminder of what I discovered 2 days ago. The office buzzed with its usual Monday morning chaos. Keyboards clicking, phones ringing, someone complaining about the broken coffee machine on the 3rd floor. Nathan, my man. I turned to see Marcus from accounting jogging toward me, his tie already loosened at 9 in the morning. Marcus had been my best friend since we both started at the company 4 years ago. He was the kind of guy who remembered everyone's birthday and organized the office fantasy football league. "You look like death warmed over," Marcus said, studying my face. "What happened this weekend? Did Emma drag you to another wedding venue?" I forced a laugh. "Something like that." "Well, you better snap out of it. Henderson presentation is on Wednesday, and Jennifer's been asking about you." I nodded and sat down at my desk, booting up my computer. Across from me, Derek's cubicle was still empty. He usually rolled in around 9:30, always with some excuse about traffic or his alarm not going off. Emma worked in the HR department on the 4th floor, and I worked in creative on the 7th. We'd met at a company retreat 2 years ago in the mountains. She'd gotten lost on a hiking trail, and I'd found her. We fell in love over shared dreams of traveling the world together, of opening our own marketing consultancy someday, of building something beautiful. Now those dreams felt like elaborate lies. I buried myself in work, designing ad campaigns for clients I didn't care about. Around 11, Derek finally strolled in, wearing expensive jeans and a crisp button-down shirt. "Morning, Nathan," he said cheerfully, dropping his messenger bag on his desk. "Great weekend, man. Thanks again for Saturday. Emma's really cool. You're one lucky guy." My fingers froze on my keyboard. "Yeah, lucky. You two are like relationship goals, you know? 3 years and still looking at each other like newlyweds. I hope I find something like that someday." I wanted to laugh or scream. Instead, I just nodded and turned back to my screen. Around noon, my supervisor Jennifer called me into her office. She was a sharp woman in her 50s who'd built her career in marketing when it was still a boys' club. She had silver hair cut in a severe bob and eyes that missed absolutely nothing. "Nathan, sit down," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. I sat, my mind racing through possible reasons for this meeting. "Your engagement party invitations went out last week," Jennifer said, straightening a stack of papers on her desk. "I'm looking forward to it, but I need to ask you something. Is everything all right? Your work on the Henderson account has been excellent, but you seem distracted." I forced a smile. "Everything's perfect, Jennifer. Just the usual pre-wedding stress, you know? Venues, catering. Emma's mother has opinions about everything." Jennifer leaned back in her chair, her fingers steepled under her chin. "Nathan, I've been at this company for 22 years. I've seen office romances bloom and crash. I've watched people make mistakes that cost them their careers. Whatever you're dealing with, handle it before it affects your work." Understood. She knew something. Women like Jennifer always knew. "Understood," I said. As I left her office, I nearly collided with Derek in the hallway. He clapped my shoulder like we were old fraternity brothers. "Hey man, Jennifer giving you the pre-wedding safety talk?" He laughed. "She cornered me last month about deadlines. She's intense." My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. "She's just doing her job." For sure, for sure. "Hey, you want to grab lunch? I'm thinking that Thai place down the street." "Can't. I have a working lunch with Marcus." "Cool, cool. Another time then." I watched him walk away, his gait casual and carefree, like a man without a guilty conscience. Marcus appeared at my elbow. "You okay, bro? You look like you want to murder someone." "Coffee machine," I said. "Now." We walked to the break room on the 7th floor, which was mercifully empty. Marcus poured 2 cups of the terrible office coffee while I stood by the window, looking out at the city below. "Talk to me," Marcus said, handing me a cup. "Not here. After work. The bar on 5th Street. Marcus's expression turned serious. "That bad?" I just nodded. The rest of the day crawled by like torture. I watched Derek type away at his computer, take phone calls, joke with other coworkers. At 3 o'clock, he stood up and announced he was going to the 4th floor for an HR question about his benefits package. I watched the elevator numbers light up as he descended. 4th floor. Emma's floor. He didn't come back for an hour and a half. Chapter 3. The Unraveling. Emma noticed the missing ring on Tuesday evening. I was at her apartment, the place we'd planned to move into together after the wedding in 3 months. It was a cozy 1-bedroom with hardwood floors and a balcony overlooking the park. She was cooking pasta, humming some pop song from the radio, when she suddenly froze. The wooden spoon in her hand dripped red sauce onto the floor. "Nathan," she said slowly, turning to face me. "Where's your ring?" I'd prepared for this moment. I'd rehearsed the lie in my head a dozen times. "It's being resized," I said smoothly, not looking up from my phone. "I've lost some weight lately, and it kept slipping off. I was worried I'd lose it." Her eyes narrowed slightly, studying my face. Then her expression softened. "Baby, you should have told me. I would have gone with you to the jeweler. We could have made sure they matched it properly with mine." She held up her left hand, where my ring still sparkled on her finger. The ring that had cost me 8 months of careful saving, of skipped lunches and canceled plans. "It's fine," I said, stirring the pasta sauce to avoid her gaze. "They said it'll be ready next week. It's the same jeweler we bought them from, so they have all the specifications." Emma wrapped her arms around me from behind, her chin resting on my shoulder. "I'm so excited for the wedding," she whispered. "Everything's falling into place perfectly. My dress fitting is next week, the venue is booked, the caterer confirmed yesterday. In 3 months, I'll be Mrs. Emma Patterson." I felt nothing. That's what scared me most, the complete absence of feeling where there used to be love. "Yeah," I said. "Perfect." Later that evening, we were sitting on the couch watching some cooking show when her phone buzzed on the coffee table. Once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. I glanced at the screen. Messages from D with heart emojis. My stomach turned. "Who's D?" I asked casually, my eyes still on the TV. Emma grabbed her phone quickly, too quickly. "Diana from yoga class. She's asking about bridesmaid dresses. You know how Diana is. She sends like 5 messages instead of one long one." I turned to look at her. "Can I see?" "What?" "The messages. About the bridesmaid dresses." Emma laughed, but it sounded forced. "Nathan, are you serious right now? Since when do you care about bridesmaid dresses?" "I don't. I just thought it was weird that Diana uses heart emojis. She's affectionate like that. You've met her. She hugs everyone." I had met Diana. Once. She was a quiet woman who taught yoga at the studio Emma went to 3 times a week. She definitely didn't seem like the type to send multiple messages with heart emojis. "Emma," I said quietly, turning down the TV volume. "Do you love me?" She blinked, caught completely off guard. What kind of question is that?" "It's a simple question. Do you love me?" "Of course I love you. We're getting married in 3 months. I'm wearing your ring. What is this really about?" I searched her face for the truth, for some sign of the woman I'd fallen in love with 2 years ago. "That's not what I asked. I didn't ask if you're marrying me. I asked if you love me." The air between us grew thick with tension. Emma set down her phone and took both my hands in hers. "Nathan, you're being weird lately. First you're quiet at dinner on Saturday, then you take off your ring without telling me. Now you're interrogating me about text messages. Is this about Derek joining us on our anniversary?" There it was. His name. "You gave him half your cookie," I said. "The anniversary cookie from the dessert I specifically ordered for us." Emma rolled her eyes. "Are you seriously upset about a cookie?" "Nathan, this is ridiculous. Derek showed up at the restaurant alone, looking like a lost puppy. I was being polite. I thought you'd appreciate that I was nice to your coworker instead of making it awkward. He called us predictable." "What?" "When I was in the bathroom, I heard you two talking. You said I was predictable and completely oblivious." Emma's face went pale, then flushed red. "You were eavesdropping?" "The walls are thin. I wasn't trying to listen, but I did. So tell me, what am I oblivious to, Emma?" She stood up abruptly, pacing to the kitchen. "You're taking things out of context. We were joking about how you always order the same dessert at restaurants. It was harmless conversation, Nathan. You're acting paranoid. Then show me your messages with Derek." "Excuse me?" "Your phone. Show me your messages with Derek. If there's nothing to hide, it should be easy." Emma's hands shook slightly as she picked up her phone. "I can't believe you're doing this. You're accusing me of what exactly? Cheating? With Derek? He's like a kid. He's 24 years old. He's 26. And you didn't answer my question. I'm not showing you my phone because this is insane. Relationships are built on trust, Nathan. If you don't trust me, then maybe we shouldn't be getting married." The ultimatum hung in the air between us like a grenade with the pin pulled. "Maybe you're right," I said quietly. Emma's expression crumbled. She rushed back to the couch, grabbing my arms. No, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. You're stressed about work and the wedding, and I'm stressed too. We're both just on edge. I love you, Nathan. Only you. There's nothing going on with Derek or anyone else. You have to believe me." She kissed me, desperate and urgent, and I let her, because part of me, the weak, pathetic part, wanted to believe the lie. But I knew better. Chapter 4, Marcus Knows. I finally broke on Wednesday evening. Marcus had been texting me all day, asking if I was okay, saying we needed to talk. After work, he practically dragged me to Murphy's Bar on 5th Street, a dark Irish pub where nobody from the office ever went. We grabbed a booth in the back corner. Marcus ordered 2 beers and waited until the bartender was out of earshot. "Talk," he said simply. So I did. Everything spilled out. The anniversary dinner, the cookie, the whispered conversation I'd overheard, the text messages from D. Emma's refusal to show me her phone, the missing ring that was now buried in a restaurant trash can. Marcus listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with every word. When I finally finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Nathan," he said finally, "I need to tell you something, and you're going to hate me for not telling you sooner." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I've been seeing things. At the office. Derek's been going to the 4th floor a lot lately. Like a lot. Way more than necessary for someone in creative who doesn't deal with HR regularly." "How often?" Marcus rubbed his face. "At least twice a day. Sometimes 3 times. And last Friday, I saw them leave together around lunch. They took separate cars, but they were definitely heading in the same direction. I followed them for a few blocks before I lost them in traffic." The beer in my stomach turned to acid. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I wasn't sure, man. I didn't want to accuse your fiancée of something without proof. You love her. You're planning a wedding. What if I was wrong? What if Derek really was just going to HR about benefits or whatever? I didn't want to blow up your life over a suspicion." He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his photos, then turned the screen toward me. Derek and Emma at a coffee shop downtown, the one near neither of our offices. The timestamp showed yesterday, Tuesday afternoon, the same day Emma told me she was having lunch with her sister. In the photo, Derek's hand was covering Emma's on the table. They were leaning in close, talking intently. Emma was smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months. I stared at the image until it blurred. "How long have you known?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I took that photo yesterday. I was getting lunch at the deli across the street and saw them through the window. I almost didn't take it, but something told me you'd need evidence. I was going to tell you today regardless, but you beat me to it." My best friend looked miserable, caught between loyalty and truth. I finished my beer in one long swallow and immediately ordered another. "There's more," Marcus said quietly. I asked around, carefully. Rebecca from HR has been covering for Emma. Apparently Emma's been calling in sick or taking long lunches for weeks now. And Derek he paused. "Derek's been bragging to some of the younger guys about a woman he's seeing. He won't say who, but he said she's taken, and it makes it more exciting." The second beer arrived. I drank half of it before responding. "I need proof," I said finally. "Real, undeniable proof. Before I confront her. Before I cancel the wedding. Before I blow up both their lives." Marcus nodded slowly. "What do you need me to do?" I looked at my best friend, the only person in my life I could trust completely. "Help me catch them." Chapter 5: The Setup. Thursday morning, I played the perfect fiancé. I stopped by Starbucks on the way to work and bought Emma her favorite latte, extra hot, vanilla with oat milk. I took the elevator down to the 4th floor and walked into the HR department with a smile on my face. Emma looked up from her computer, surprised and delighted. "Nathan, what are you doing here?" "Bringing coffee to my beautiful fiancé," I said, kissing her cheek. I felt bad about Tuesday night. I was being paranoid and ridiculous. "You're right, we're both just stressed about the wedding." Her whole face lit up. "Oh baby, I'm so glad. I was worried all night. I know planning a wedding is intense, but we're in this together." "Okay." "Together," I repeated, handing her the latte. "Always." I left her office feeling hollow inside, like someone had scooped out my internal organs and replaced them with sawdust. As I walked back toward the elevator, a hand touched my arm. "Nathan, can I talk to you?" Privately. It was Rebecca, Emma's coworker. She was a mousy woman in her early 30s with brown hair always pulled back in a tight bun. She'd always been kind to me, remembering my name and asking about my work. "Sure," I said, We stepped into an empty conference room. Rebecca closed the door and twisted her hands together nervously. "I don't know how to say this," she began, her voice shaking. "You seem like such a good guy, and Emma is my friend. We've worked together for 3 years. But I can't keep covering for her anymore." My heart started pounding. Covering for what? Tears formed in Rebecca's eyes. "She's been seeing Derek for 6 weeks now, maybe longer. They think nobody knows, but I've covered for her 3 times when she said she was in meetings but was really gone for hours. She made me promise not to tell anyone. Said it would jeopardize her job if people found out she was dating a coworker from another department while engaged. 6 weeks. 6 weeks of lies while we tasted wedding cakes and met with florists. 6 weeks of sleeping beside her in bed, making love to her, planning our future. 6 weeks of being the fool everyone pitied. Does anyone else know? I managed to ask. Rebecca nodded miserably. A few people suspect, but everyone's too afraid to say anything because Emma works in HR. She could make things very difficult for people if she wanted to. She controls performance reviews, complaints, hiring decisions. People are scared. I felt something crack inside my chest, like ice breaking on a frozen lake. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "I know it wasn't easy. I'm sorry, Nathan. I'm so sorry. You deserve better than this." I left the conference room and took the stairs up to the 7th floor instead of the elevator. I needed time to think, to breathe, to process the confirmation of everything I'd suspected. Marcus was waiting at my desk with his laptop, looking around nervously to make sure no one was listening. "I have something to show you," he whispered. "But not here. Conference room C is empty." We locked ourselves in the small conference room. Marcus opened his laptop and pulled up a browser window. "I need you to not ask me how I got this," he said. "Let's just say I'm better with computers than the company realizes." He showed me parking garage security footage from the past 2 weeks. Multiple instances of Emma and Derek leaving work together in the middle of the day, getting into Derek's silver BMW, driving away toward downtown. Sometimes they returned hours later. Sometimes they didn't return at all. "There's more," Marcus said, his voice grim. "I accessed the company expense system. Derek's been booking rooms at the Riverside Hotel using his corporate card. Conference rooms, supposedly, for client meetings. But I checked, there are no clients. The bookings are always for 2 hours in the afternoon. The same afternoons Emma called in sick or took extended lunches. I stared at the screen, at the timestamps and locations and undeniable evidence of betrayal. "Forward me everything," I said, my voice cold and distant even to my own ears. "Every photo, every piece of footage, every hotel record, every expense report." Marcus hesitated. "Nathan, what are you going to do?" I looked at my best friend, seeing the concern in his eyes. "I'm going to let them hang themselves." Chapter 6. The engagement party. Saturday arrived with cruel sunshine and a cloudless blue sky. Our engagement party was being held at Emma's parents' house in the suburbs. A beautiful colonial home with a sprawling backyard, mature oak trees, and a garden that her mother Patricia tended like it was her 4th child. I'd helped pay for everything. The catering from that expensive Italian place Emma loved. The decoration, white and gold, her favorite colors. The photographer who charged $500 for 4 hours. The open bar that her father insisted on despite my protests that it was too much. Now I stood in the driveway, watching it all unfold like a stage play I was no longer part of. Emma looked stunning. She wore a white sundress that showed off her tan shoulders, her dark hair in loose curls down her back. She greeted guests with that radiant smile, playing the role of blushing bride-to-be perfectly. "Nathan, sweetheart." Patricia, Emma's mother, rushed over and hugged me warmly. She was an elegant woman in her late 50s who wore pearls even to the grocery store and believed in proper table manners above all else. "Welcome, welcome. You must be so excited. 3 months until the big day. Can't wait," I said, my face hurting from fake smiling. Richard, Emma's father, appeared with 2 glasses of scotch. He was a stern-faced lawyer who'd made partner at his firm 20 years ago and never let anyone forget it. But he'd always been decent to me. "Nathan, good to see you," he said, handing me a glass. "Let's talk man-to-man for a moment." We walked to a quieter corner of the yard. "I want you to know," Richard said, his voice serious, "that I've always liked you. You're stable, hard-working, respectful. You're exactly the kind of man I hoped Emma would marry. You'll take care of my daughter." Guilt twisted in my stomach. "Thank you, sir. Call me Richard. We're family now." If only he knew what his daughter had been doing for the past 6 weeks. The party filled with relatives and friends as the afternoon wore on. My mother arrived with my Aunt Carol, both of them dressed in their Sunday best. My brother James showed up late with his wife Sarah and their 2 kids. Jennifer from work came bearing an expensive bottle of wine. Co-workers from both the 4th and 7th floors mingled in the backyard. And then Derek arrived. He wore jeans and a casual button-down, like this was just another Saturday barbecue. He carried a bottle of champagne and that easy smile that made everyone think he was harmless. Emma's face transformed when she saw him. I watched from across the yard as she lit up, her whole body language changing. She rushed over to greet him, and I saw it. The way her hand lingered on his arm just a second too long. The way she leaned in when she laughed at whatever he said. "Who's that young man?" Aunt Carol whispered to my mother. "He seems very close to Emma." My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. She'd always had doubts about Emma, though she'd been too polite to say so directly. "That's Derek," I said, appearing beside them. "He works with me. He seems very friendly," Aunt Carol said, her tone suggesting she'd noticed exactly what I'd noticed. The afternoon dragged on with forced cheerfulness. Emma's bridesmaids, Sophia from college, her cousin Jennifer, and 2 other women I barely knew, took photos with her by the garden. My groomsmen, including Marcus and James, stood around the grill with beers in hand. Then came the speeches. Patricia went first, talking about how she'd watched Emma grow into a beautiful, successful woman and how happy she was that Emma had found true love. Richard spoke about responsibility and commitment and building a life together. Sophia, Emma's maid of honor, gave a teary speech about soulmates and destiny. Then it was James's turn. My brother was funny and charming, telling embarrassing stories about me as a kid and joking about how Emma was brave to take me on despite my terrible cooking and obsession with sci-fi movies. Everyone laughed. Emma beamed at me from across the circle of guests. Then Marcus stood up for his best man speech. He looked at me, a question in his eyes. I gave him a tiny nod. "I've known Nathan for 4 years," Marcus began. "He's one of the most loyal, trustworthy, genuine people I've ever met. When he loves someone, he loves completely and without reservation. He deserves that same loyalty in return." The crowd murmured in agreement. Emma smiled, oblivious. "To Nathan and Emma," Marcus said, raising his glass. "May they both get exactly what they deserve." People clinked glasses, missing the double meaning entirely. Then it was my turn. I stood up slowly, my glass of champagne in hand. The backyard fell quiet. 75 people waited for me to declare my undying love. Emma smiled at me expectantly, her hand resting over her heart. I saw Derek standing near the back by the fence, drinking beer and watching. "Thank you all for coming," I began, my voice steady. "Emma and I have been together for 3 years. 3 years of building what I thought was a foundation of trust, honesty, and love." Emma's smile faltered slightly, just for a second. "But I've learned something recently," I continued. "I've learned that sometimes the person you trust most is the person you should trust least." The air grew tense. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Patricia stood up, confused. "Nathan, dear, what are you?" I pulled out my phone and held it up. Marcus had already connected it to the projector we'd set up earlier for showing photos from our relationship. "I wanted to share some pictures from our relationship," I said. "But first, I want to show you something else." The first image appeared on the screen behind me, projected large enough for everyone to see. Derek and Emma at the coffee shop, hands touching across the table. The backyard erupted in gasps. Emma went white as a sheet. Nathan, what are you doing? I clicked to the next image. Parking garage footage showing them getting into Derek's car together, her hand on his shoulder as they walked. Stop this right now, Emma said, her voice shaking. Click. Hotel records showing Derek's room bookings at the Riverside Hotel, with timestamps matching the afternoons Emma had called in sick. Click. More photos Marcus had taken over the past week. Emma and Derek at lunch. Emma and Derek leaving work together. Emma and Derek in his car at a red light, her hand on his thigh. Oh my God, Sophia whispered. Richard's face had turned purple. Patricia's hand covered her mouth. 6 weeks, I said, my voice carrying across the silent backyard. That's how long Emma has been sleeping with Derek while planning our wedding, while wearing my ring, while I paid for this party. Emma started crying. It's not what it looks like. Nathan, please let me explain. Explain what? I asked. Explain how you called me mature for not being jealous? Explain how you shared a cookie with him on our anniversary while calling me predictable behind my back? Explain how you lied about having lunch with your sister when you were actually at a hotel with him. Derek had gone pale. He started backing toward the gate. Oh no, Marcus said, stepping in front of him. You're not going anywhere. James joined Marcus, blocking Derek's exit. My brother looked furious. Emma rushed toward me, tears streaming down her face. Nathan, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I love you. We can work through this. No, I said simply. We can't. I pulled the engagement ring, her ring, out of my pocket. I'd taken it from her jewelry box this morning while she was in the shower. This ring cost me 8 months of savings, I said. I worked overtime, skipped meals, canceled plans with friends. I did everything I could to give you the ring you said you wanted. And you threw it away for him. I turned to Derek, who looked like he wanted to disappear into the ground. How much did your ring cost, Derek? The one Emma's probably been showing off to you. Derek didn't answer. Nathan, please, Emma sobbed. Don't do this. Not here. Not in front of everyone. Why not? I asked. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You had our co-workers covering for you. You made me look like a fool. This seems fair. I walked over to Patricia and Richard. Emma's father looked like he might have a heart attack. I'm sorry, I said to them. I know you spent money on the wedding deposits. I'll pay you back every cent for my half. You raised a beautiful daughter. I just wish you'd raised an honest one. Patricia burst into tears. I turned to address the whole party one final time. There is no wedding. There is no engagement. Emma is free to be with Derek now, if he's stupid enough to trust her. I dropped Emma's ring on the grass at her feet and walked toward the gate. Marcus and James followed immediately. Behind me, the backyard exploded into chaos. I heard Emma crying, Patricia screaming at someone, probably Derek. I heard Richard's voice booming with rage. I heard Aunt Carol say, I knew something was off about that girl. I didn't look back. Chapter 7, The Fallout. Monday morning at Hartley and Associates was like walking into the eye of a hurricane. Word had spread faster than wildfire. By the time I arrived at 8:30, half the office already knew what had happened at the engagement party. Jennifer called me into her office immediately. Sit down, Nathan, she said, her expression unreadable. I sat, prepared for the worst. Maybe she'd fire me for causing drama. Maybe she'd lecture me about professionalism. Instead, she sighed and poured me a cup of coffee from the machine on her credenza. That took guts, she said. Stupid, reckless guts. But guts nonetheless. I'm sorry if I made things difficult for the company, I said. Jennifer waved her hand dismissively. Please. Half the office has been talking about Emma and Derek for weeks. It was the worst-kept secret in the building. You just brought it into the light. What happens now? Now? Emma submitted her resignation this morning, effective immediately. She cleaned out her desk at 7 a.m. before anyone else arrived. Derek called in sick. I absorbed this information silently. HR is conducting an investigation, Jennifer continued. Turns out Derek was using company resources, the corporate card, the hotel bookings, for personal affairs. That's a fireable offense. And Emma, as an HR employee, had a responsibility to report it. She didn't. She covered it up. So they're both gone? Emma's gone. Derek will be by the end of the week. The company can't keep him after this. It's a liability issue. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. Take the rest of the week off, Jennifer said gently. Paid leave. You've been through hell. When you come back Monday, this will have blown over. The office gossip mill will have moved on to something else. I thanked her and left, but instead of going home, I went to Marcus's desk. Bro, Marcus said, standing up immediately. I heard. Jennifer told you? Both gone. Emma quit. Derek's getting fired. Marcus let out a low whistle. Fast karma. We went to the break room, which was buzzing with conversation. The moment I walked in, people stopped talking. Then slowly, a few people approached me. I'm sorry that happened to you, said Tom from sales. You did the right thing, added Michelle from accounting. Even Rebecca from HR found me later in the parking lot. She hugged me tightly. I'm so glad you exposed her, she said. What she was doing wasn't just wrong to you. She was abusing her position in HR. She was making people lie for her. You freed all of us. Over the next few days, the full story emerged in pieces. Derek had been bragging about the affair to several guys in the office, calling it his forbidden romance. He'd been telling people that Emma was going to leave me for him after she let me down easy. He'd apparently believed they had a real future together. Emma, according to Sophia, who called me Tuesday night, was devastated. She'd moved back in with her parents. She was calling everyone she knew, alternating between apologizing and making excuses. The wedding venue had been canceled. The deposits were non-refundable. She wants to talk to you, Sophia said. She says she made a terrible mistake and wants a chance to explain. Tell her no, I said. Nathan, I know what she did was awful, but maybe you should hear her out. Maybe there were reasons. Sophia, do you know what's worse than being cheated on? What? Being cheated on by someone who called me mature for not being jealous, who praised me for being secure while she was sleeping with someone else, who made me feel crazy for suspecting the truth. There's no explanation that makes that okay. Sophia was quiet for a long moment. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called. My brother James came over Wednesday night with pizza and beer. We sat on my couch watching bad action movies, not talking about Emma at all until he was about to leave. You know what I keep thinking about? James said. What? That cookie. The fact that it all started with her sharing a cookie with him at your anniversary dinner. Like she couldn't even wait one evening to prioritize you over him. Yeah, I said. That's when I knew. When you threw away your ring in the bathroom? When I realized the woman I loved didn't exist. She was just a character Emma was playing. James hugged me at the door. You're going to be okay. Better than okay. You dodged a bullet. Thursday afternoon, Derek called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. What do you want? I said. Nathan, man, I just wanted to apologize. I never meant for any of this to happen. Emma and I, it just happened, you know? We tried to fight it, but... Stop. What? Stop pretending this was some romantic star-crossed lover situation. You pursued my fiancée. She cheated on me. You both lied and snuck around for 6 weeks. Own it. Derek was silent for a moment. I lost my job because of you. No, you lost your job because you used company resources to cheat with a coworker while she was engaged to another coworker. I just exposed it. Emma's a mess. She's been calling me nonstop, crying, saying she made a mistake and wants you back. I thought we were going to be together, but now she says it was all a mistake. I almost laughed. So you're calling me because the woman you stole doesn't want you anymore? That's rich. I just thought you should know she regrets it. I don't care what Emma regrets. Lose my number, Derek. I hung up and blocked him immediately. Chapter 8. Moving forward. 3 weeks after the engagement party, I was starting to feel human again. The constant ache in my chest had dulled to something manageable. I'd stopped checking Emma's social media. I'd blocked her everywhere on day one, but I'd been tempted to unblock her and look, just to see if she was suffering. I resisted. Marcus had convinced me to join him at the gym after work. Nothing clears your head like lifting heavy things, he'd said. He was right. The physical exhaustion helped quiet the mental noise. On a Friday evening, for weeks after everything imploded, I was leaving the office when I ran into Patricia, Emma's mother, in the building lobby. She looked older than I remembered, tired lines around her eyes. "Nathan," she said, stopping in her tracks. "Patricia." We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then she spoke, her voice breaking slightly. "I came to clean out Emma's storage locker here. She forgot she had some things in the basement storage." "I see. Nathan, I owe you an apology. A real one, not on Emma's behalf. Richard and we raised her to be better than this. We thought we did anyway. I don't know where we went wrong. Something in me softened. You didn't go wrong. Emma made her own choices. She's an adult." Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "She calls me every day crying. She says she destroyed the best thing in her life. She's been to therapy twice already. She wants to reach out to you, but I told her to leave you alone. Thank you for that. For what it's worth, Nathan, you were always good enough for her. More than good enough. She was the one who wasn't good enough for you." Patricia hugged me briefly, then walked toward the elevators, leaving me standing in the lobby feeling strangely lighter. That weekend, I did something I'd been putting off. I went through my apartment and boxed up everything that reminded me of Emma. Photos, gifts, the spare toothbrush she kept at my place, the sweater she'd left on my couch. I didn't throw it away, I wasn't that cruel. I packed it all in a box and left it with the building manager to give to her if she ever came by. Then I rearranged my furniture, changed my sheets, bought new towels, made the space mine again. Sunday afternoon, I went to the jewelry store where I'd bought our engagement rings. The owner, an elderly man named Mr. Chun, remembered me immediately. "Mr. Patterson, how is the wedding planning going?" "There's no wedding," I said. "It didn't work out." His face fell. "Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I need to know something. When I bought the rings, I requested they be inscribed. Did you keep the inscription records?" "Of course. Let me check." He went to his computer and typed for a moment. Yes. The inscription you requested was, 'Forever yours, N.' And the ring I bought for myself? 'Forever yours, E.' I nodded. "Thank you for confirming. Forever yours." What a lie that had turned out to be. As I left the jewelry store, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello, Nathan? It's Emma." My stomach dropped. "How did you get this number?" "I blocked you. I'm calling from a friend's phone. Please don't hang up. Please. I just need 5 minutes." Every instinct told me to end the call. But part of me, the part that had loved her for 3 years, needed to hear what she had to say. "5 minutes," I said. "Starting now." "Thank you." She took a shaky breath. "Nathan, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I destroyed everything we built. But I need you to understand that it wasn't about you not being enough. You are, everything I should have wanted. Then why? I don't know. I've been asking myself that every day. Derek was exciting and new and made me feel young. You made me feel safe and stable. And somewhere in my stupid, selfish brain, I thought safe and stable meant boring. I was wrong. So wrong. I leaned against my car in the parking lot, staring up at the clouds. "Derek called me the day after the party," Emma continued. "He said we could be together now, that we didn't have to hide anymore. And I realized I didn't want to be with him. I never wanted to be with him. I wanted the excitement he represented, but not him. I wanted you, Nathan. I've always wanted you. That's not good enough. I know. You called me mature for not being jealous while you were sleeping with him. You praised me for being secure while you lied to my face. You let me plan our wedding, pay for the party, introduce you to my family as the love of my life. And the whole time you were betraying me. Emma was crying now, I could hear it. I know. I hate myself. I wake up every morning and hate the person I became. I've lost everything, you, my job, my reputation. My parents can barely look at me. Derek won't talk to me. Everyone in my life knows what I did. Good, I said and meant it. What? You should lose everything. You should feel every bit of pain and regret. Because that's what you put me through. The difference is, I didn't deserve it. I know. You're right. I needed you to know that I'm sorry. That I love you. That I always loved you. Even when I was too stupid and selfish to show it. Emma, do you remember what you said at the restaurant? About me being predictable? Nathan, you said I was oblivious. That I'd never suspect anything. And you were right about one thing, I am predictable. I'm the kind of man who shows up when he says he will. Who means his promises. Who loves completely and faithfully. You called those things boring. I call them integrity. Emma sobbed. I know. I see that now. When it's too late. Yeah, too late. Is there any chance at all, that someday you might forgive me? Not to get back together. I know that's impossible. Just forgive me so I can forgive myself? I thought about this carefully. Maybe someday I'll forgive you, Emma. But you need to forgive yourself on your own. That's not my responsibility anymore. Okay, she whispered. Okay, goodbye, Nathan. I really did love you. I just loved myself more. She hung up before I could respond. I stood in the parking lot for a long time, feeling the afternoon sun on my face. And then I realized something. I felt free. Chapter 9, The Ring. 2 months after the engagement party, I was having dinner with Marcus and James at a steakhouse downtown. Life had settled into a new normal. Work was good. I'd been promoted to senior designer after the Henderson campaign launched successfully. I'd started going out with friends again, picking up hobbies I'd neglected during the relationship. You seem different, James observed, cutting into his steak. Lighter. I feel lighter, I admitted. Like I've been carrying someone else's weight for 3 years and finally put it down. Marcus raised his beer. To Nathan, who faced betrayal with more class than most people could manage. We clinked glasses. I heard something through the office grapevine, Marcus said. Want to know? Depends. Is it about Emma? Emma and Derek. I considered this. Okay, tell me. Derek moved to another city. Chicago, I think. Couldn't find work here after word spread about what happened. And Emma-Marcus paused. Emma's working at her dad's law firm now, as a receptionist. She couldn't get another HR job. Turns out abusing your position and covering up policy violations makes you unhireable in that field. James whistled low. From HR manager to receptionist. That's a fall. Karma, I said simply. Do you ever regret it? James asked. Exposing them at the party like that? You could have just broken up with her quietly. I thought about this carefully. No, I don't regret it. She was going to marry me while sleeping with him. She would have walked down that aisle in a white dress and said vows she didn't mean. She deserved to be exposed. What about Derek? Marcus asked. Derek's a coward who bragged about sleeping with an engaged woman. He deserved everything he got. We finished dinner and walked out into the cool evening. As we stood on the sidewalk saying goodbye, a woman approached me hesitantly. Nathan. I turned. It was Sophia, Emma's maid of honor. Sophia. Hi. She looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just saw you through the window and thought I should tell you something. Marcus and James politely stepped away to give us privacy. What is it? Emma's engaged again. I blinked, surprised. What? To who? Some guy named Brandon. He's a lawyer at her dad's firm. They've been dating for 6 weeks. He proposed last weekend. 6 weeks. The same amount of time she'd been cheating on me before I found out. That's fast, I said. Nathan, I don't think she's over you. I think she's trying to prove something to herself or to her parents or to everyone who knows what she did. Brandon seems nice, but Sophia shook her head. He doesn't know about what happened with you and Derek. She told him you broke up mutually because of different life goals. I laughed, a short bark of disbelief. Of course she did. I thought you should know. In case she tries to contact you or, I don't know. I just felt like you should know. Thanks, Sophia. I appreciate it. She hesitated, then spoke again. For what it's worth, I misjudged the situation. I thought you were being cruel, exposing her like that at the party. But the more time passes, the more I realize you were being honest. Emma needed to face consequences. I'm sorry I didn't see that sooner. After Sophia left, I rejoined Marcus and James. Everything okay? James asked. Emma's engaged. 6 weeks. To someone at her dad's law firm. Marcus's jaw dropped. 6 weeks? Is she incapable of being alone? Apparently. Do you care? James asked carefully. I searched my feelings honestly. No, I don't. She's not my problem anymore. She's Brandon's problem now. I almost feel bad for him. That night, alone in my apartment, I thought about the engagement ring I'd thrown away in the restaurant bathroom trash. I wondered if anyone had found it, if some janitor had discovered it and kept it, if it had ended up in a landfill somewhere. Then I realized something profound. The ring didn't matter. It never had. The ring was just a symbol, and symbols only have the meaning we give them. I'd given that ring meaning, commitment, love, forever. Emma had made it meaningless by her actions. I opened my laptop and did something I'd been considering for weeks. I signed up for a photography class. Then I booked a trip to Iceland, a place I'd always wanted to visit, but Emma had never been interested in. I was building a new life. My life, not our life. Mine. And it felt good. Chapter 10. The Final Encounter. 6 months after the engagement party, I was at a coffee shop near my apartment on a Saturday morning when I saw her. Emma. She was at the counter ordering, her back to me. But I recognized her immediately. The curve of her shoulders, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the nervous gesture of adjusting her purse strap. I could have left. I should have left. But something kept me frozen in my seat. She turned with her coffee, and our eyes met. Time stopped. Emma went pale. Her hand shook slightly, coffee sloshing in the cup. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she walked over to my table slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Nathan, she said softly. Hi, Emma. Can I sit for a minute? Every instinct screamed at me to say no. But I was curious. After 6 months, I wanted to see who she'd become. 1 minute, I said. She sat down carefully, setting her coffee on the table between us. I noticed immediately no ring on her left hand. I heard you were engaged again, I said. To Brandon. Emma flinched. That ended 3 weeks ago. He found out about everything. About you, about Derek. Someone from Hartley told his friend, who told him. He called off the engagement. I sipped my coffee, waiting. Nathan, I know you don't want to hear this, but I need to say it for my own closure. I've been in therapy for 5 months now. I'm working on understanding why I sabotaged the best relationship I ever had. And what did you discover? That I was terrified. Terrified of commitment, of being happy, of deserving something good. So I destroyed it before it could destroy me. Classic self-sabotage. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I have issues. We all have issues, Emma. Most of us don't cheat on our fiancés. She nodded, accepting this. You're right. I'm not making excuses. I just want you to know that I understand now what I threw away. You were patient and kind and loyal. Everything I should have valued. Everything I took for granted. Why are you telling me this? Emma looked up, and I saw genuine pain in her eyes. Because I see you moving forward. I see your Instagram, Iceland, the photography, the new hobbies. You're thriving. And I'm stuck. I'm still in the same place, making the same mistakes. Brandon was just another Derek. A way to avoid dealing with myself. Emma, I can't help you with that. I know. I'm not asking you to. I just needed to see you one more time and tell you that I know what I lost. I know you were the one. I set down my coffee and looked at her directly. No, Emma. I wasn't the one. If I had been, you wouldn't have cheated. We weren't right for each other. You needed someone who would call you on your behavior, who wouldn't let you take them for granted. I needed someone who valued loyalty and honesty. We were fundamentally incompatible. I just didn't see it until the cookie. Emma smiled sadly. The cookie. Such a small thing. It wasn't small. It was everything. It was you prioritizing someone else on our anniversary. It was the whispered conversation calling me oblivious. It was every lie that came after. I praised your maturity that night, Emma said quietly. I told you how secure and confident you were, and the whole time you'd already thrown away your ring. You knew. You knew, and you let me keep lying. I needed proof before I burned everything down. And you got it. Emma stood up, picking up her coffee. I won't take up any more of your time. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry, truly deeply sorry, and that I hope someday you find someone who deserves you. Emma, I said as she turned to leave. She looked back. I already forgave you. About a month ago. Not for you, for me. I couldn't move forward while carrying anger. So I forgave you and let it go. Tears filled her eyes. Thank you. But forgiving you doesn't mean I want you in my life. It just means I'm at peace with what happened. Emma nodded. I understand. Goodbye, Nathan. Goodbye, Emma. I watched her leave the coffee shop, and I felt nothing. No anger, no regret, no longing. Just a quiet sense of closure. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Beach volleyball this afternoon? Bringing some people from my kickball league. There's a girl I want you to meet. She's a photographer too. I smiled and typed back, I'm in. Epilogue 1 year later. I stood at Jennifer's retirement party, surrounded by coworkers, holding a glass of champagne and actually enjoying myself. A year ago, this office had been the scene of my greatest humiliation. Now it was just the place I worked. Nathan, come here. Jennifer waved me over to where she stood with a group of people I didn't recognize. As I approached, I noticed a woman with auburn hair and bright green eyes standing beside Jennifer. Nathan, this is my niece, Claire. She just moved to the city and is looking to break into marketing. I told her you're the best designer in the department. Claire smiled, extending her hand. Nice to meet you. My aunt talks about you constantly. All good things, I hope? I said, shaking her hand. She says you're talented, professional, and recently single. Claire glanced at Jennifer. She's not subtle. Jennifer laughed. I'm retiring. I've earned the right to meddle. As Jennifer walked away to greet other guests, Claire and I stood there somewhat awkwardly. I apologize for my aunt, Claire said. She means well, but she's been trying to set me up since I arrived 2 weeks ago. It's fine. Jennifer's been trying to set me up for months. I think she feels guilty that the office drama happened on her watch. Claire tilted her head. Office drama? Long story. Involves an engagement party, a projector, and a lot of poor life choices. None of them mine. She laughed. Now I'm intrigued. We talked for the rest of the party. Claire was funny, smart, and refreshingly direct. She'd moved from Portland for a fresh start after ending a long-term relationship. She loved photography, spoke 3 languages, and had a rescue dog named Pancake. Pancake? I asked. Why Pancake? Because he's flat and golden and makes everything better. At the end of the evening, as people were leaving, Claire approached me one more time. This might be forward, she said, but would you want to get coffee sometime? As friends. I don't know many people in the city yet, and you seem like someone who'd give good neighborhood recommendations. I thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. I'd like that, I said. There's a great coffee shop near my apartment. They have the best espresso in the city. Not the place with the modern art on the walls? That's the one. Claire smiled. I've been there. I love that place. Tomorrow morning. As I drove home that night, I thought about everything that had happened over the past year. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, the healing. The slow process of rebuilding myself into someone stronger, someone who knew his worth. I thought about the ring I'd thrown away in a restaurant bathroom, the symbol of a love that had never really existed. And I realized something, That ring had been the best thing I'd ever thrown away, because throwing it away meant I knew. I knew my worth. I knew I deserved better. I knew I wouldn't settle for someone who called me mature while betraying me behind my back. The next morning, I met Claire at the coffee shop. We talked for 3 hours about photography, travel, dreams, and disappointments. She told me about her ex, who had been emotionally unavailable. I told her about Emma, about the cookie, about the engagement party. "You exposed her at the party?" Claire asked, eyes wide. "In front of everyone? In front of 75 people. That's either the most badass thing I've ever heard or the most petty. Can it be both?" She laughed. "Absolutely. I think I would have done the same thing." As we left the coffee shop, walking toward the park, Claire asked me something unexpected. "Do you think you'll ever trust someone completely again, after what happened?" I thought about this carefully. I think trust isn't about being naive. It's about knowing someone's character and believing in it. Emma showed me who she was. I just didn't want to see it. The red flags were there. I ignored them because I wanted to believe in the fairy tale. And now I pay attention to the red flags. And I don't confuse maturity with being a doormat. Claire nodded. "That's wise." We walked in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Claire spoke again. "For what it's worth, Nathan, Emma was an idiot. You seem like the kind of person who loves completely. That's rare. She threw away something precious." "Thanks," I said. "But I think we both know I'm better off. Some things need to break so better things can come together." 3 months later, Claire and I took a photography trip to Japan. 6 months after that, we moved in together. A year after meeting her, I realized something profound. This was what love should feel like. Easy, honest, safe without being boring, exciting without being chaotic. One evening, as we sat on our balcony watching the sunset, Claire turned to me. "I need to tell you something." My heart skipped. "What?" "Jennifer didn't accidentally introduce us. Marcus reached out to her and told her about you, about what happened with Emma. Jennifer specifically invited me to that party to meet you." I laughed. "Marcus and Jennifer set us up?" "Apparently they conspired." "Are you mad?" "Mad? That my best friend and my former boss cared enough to help me find happiness? No. I'm grateful." Claire smiled and kissed me. "Good, because I need to thank them. You're kind of the best thing that's happened to me." "Right back at you." Later that night, as Claire slept beside me, I thought about Emma one last time, not with anger or regret, but with a strange sense of gratitude, because her betrayal had taught me what I deserved. It had taught me to value myself, to spot red flags, to demand honesty and respect. And it had cleared the path for Claire. I never saw Emma again after that day in the coffee shop. I heard through Marcus that she'd moved to another state, started over completely. I hoped she'd found peace. I hoped she'd learned from her mistakes. But mostly I just stopped thinking about her, because my life was full of better things now. Photography exhibitions with Claire. Weekend trips to places I'd always wanted to see. Honest conversations. Real trust. A love that didn't require games or tests or suspicion. I fell asleep that night thinking about a cookie. The one Emma had shared with Derek at our anniversary dinner. The cookie that had changed everything. And I smiled, because that cookie had led me here. To this moment. To this life. To Claire. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best transformations. Sometimes throwing away a ring in a bathroom trash can is the first step toward finding yourself. And sometimes the person who calls you mature while betraying you is doing you the biggest favor of your life. They're showing you exactly who they are, and giving you permission to find someone better.